Coming to the English test, I think there are many other English tests before Duolingo as well, and they are now. For example, if I can name some, there are IELTS, TOEFL, etc., which are being very famous from the past few decades in India for a foreign or for an overseas aspiring students. So why a student has to opt for Duolingo English test but not them? I know you'll be facing these questions more regularly, but yeah.
I'm also a little biased, you understand, so I'll do my best.
Yeah.
And hopefully after we're done with this, when next time someone mentions an English test, this will be the one that they think of.
Yeah, sure, we can share the video as well.
All right, so differences between the Duolingo English test and others. I would say the first and foremost biggest difference is how convenient and accessible this test is, for two reasons. The fact that this test can be taken at any time, anywhere.
Okay.
That makes it a very convenient option. It means that they don't have to register in advance. It means they don't have to travel to a test center.
Yeah.
And just so much more control over when and where they can take a test.
And comfort as well, comfort of home.
Naturally,
Yes.
because they get to choose where.
Understand.
The second biggest difference, and that's what makes this such an accessible test, is the difference in the price.
Okay.
This test is priced at $65, which is about, I think we said $5,000. That's
Yes.
about a third of what other tests in the market are currently priced at.
Yes.
So that's a big difference that makes this more affordable to test
for the
takers.
students. Yes.
And then, of course, there are differences like with respect to the results. The results are available in 48 hours. Which is much sooner than they get results on other tests, which may take, I think, anywhere from a week to 2 weeks before
Yes.
they get results.
Yes.
So this is a much faster process overall. You know, the test itself takes about 1 hour and results are available in 48 hours. So for students who are very pressed for time, if they're in a rush, you know, they have to meet application deadlines, this is a great way for them to make sure they're on top of their applications and don't miss out sending test results.
Yep.
Another difference is the amount of practice material that we have available for this test.
Okay.
So, you know, like I said, we have the practice test that's available on the website, which has an endless pool of questions, so they can even practice without having questions repeated on the test. And they also have a test taker guide, which is available on our readiness page. And that will again offer them more practice material for each single question type, practice examples of practice questions. They can practice for free to take this test.
Yes.
And then, of course, there are differences in the actual format or structure of the test. This is a shorter test, unlike other tests, and it also doesn't have distinct sections for each skill.
Yes.
So other tests have a separate section for speaking, writing, reading, and listening. We don't have the sections divided, you know, per skill. So it's all in this one part of the test.
And no individual scoring for sections as well, I think?
They are not individually scored. We have an overall test for the score. However, having said that, we do on the test report have individual sub-scores.
Okay.
Which do tell you how much you have scored for each skill.
Okay.
But I would not say that this is a section-wise scoring, because on this test, another difference is that some of our question types actually assess multiple skills.
Okay.
That example I told you about interactive listening, where they are engaging in a simulated conversation.
Yes.
That's testing your ability to listen,
speak,
read, because you're reading a list of options as well. So there are multiple skills being tested simultaneously. And that's how we would use skills in real life as well, right?
Yes.
So that's what it assesses. And then, of course, there are other differences in the type of questions that are asked on the test. I think one of the things that students may not know is that although there is no interview with a human on this test, there are questions that assess speaking. And actually, in fact, that's one of the reasons we also feel this is a slightly less stressful test for students who are scared or nervous about having to talk to complete strangers. So that's one of the differences. And then the writing questions, I would say the biggest difference is the time that it takes. None of the writing questions on this test are longer than 5 minutes.
Okay.
That's the maximum amount of time they'd have to write for. And I think the longest they have to speak for a speaking question is 3 minutes.
Okay.
So for students who are worried about how will they manage without taking notes, you know, this is something to keep in mind. They're not very long questions and answers, so you don't have to worry too much about it. I think then for the reading section, one of the differences would be that on other tests, you have rather long texts or passages to read. On the Duolingo English Test, they're never longer than about 150 to 175 words.
Okay.
They're rather short texts, so that's more manageable for students as well.
And less stress.
And less stress, I
Yes.
imagine. And in terms of the differences for listening questions, I would say the key difference is that on this test, all the speakers, all the audio that we listen to has speakers using American accents.
Okay.
So if they can just practice getting familiar with speakers who are American and have American accents, I think that would help them prepare for that section as well. So you don't have to worry about listening to speakers from all parts of the world.
Understand. Is there any difference, for example, for sending the score to the universities, because some of the tests which I heard about has some limitations and they charge extra for sending the scores to the universities?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. That is, in fact, one of the key differences between this test and others. The fact that they don't have to choose where they want to send results in advance.
Yes.
The fact that there's no limit on how many places they can share results with.
Yes.
I think these are the key differences. And of course, they don't have to pay at all to share results.
Yeah, that's totally free. So as you mentioned, it's a very big advantage for the students, because
Yes.
they keep changing the universities at the last minute and it will be very beneficial to them.
And this gives them more options.
Yes. So any other thing you want to add on in comparison to other tests for Duolingo?
I think really overall, just how much control it gives you, the fact that it's so convenient and accessible.
Okay.
I think that would be I would want students to have that as the biggest takeaway from this test.
Yes. I understood about Duolingo test and comparisons, but there are few questions in the mind of students or who are aspiring to take the test. And as this video is brought to you by VmapU, your trusted partner in realizing overseas dreams since 2009. With expert counseling, personalized guidance, visa assistance and more. They have helped around 1.5 lakh students achieve their international dreams. Whether it's pursuing MS in USA, MBA in UK or in any other country. Contact VmapU by clicking on the link below. Register yourself by entering name, email ID and phone number, and they will call you back within 24 hours to guide and turn your aspirations into reality. And VmapU also offers free SOP maker, free LOR maker and free university shortlisting tool as well. Make sure to explore these. Thank you.